Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. The day has arrived. One of our most anticipated titles of the entire year that we didn't even know about until the end of May has arrived. Astro Bot has released. We've both beaten it, and we're here today to break it down with one of our classic gaming deep dives. Stick with us as we break down graphics, gameplay, fun factor, and more. And I've even heard rumor that some people are whispering Game of the Year contender.
What?
Game of the Year. Game of the Year. We'll get to the bottom of all of that in this awesome episode. But first, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, he's the Buster Bulldog to my rocket, the Iron Girdle to my loins, the super giant sponge robot thing to my puddle of water. It's Ryan.
Dude, I will be your Iron Girdle any day of the week. You better believe it. And I'm so proud of you that the world knows who you are now, because last episode, apparently they didn't.
In the middle of summer, Ryan? You're still going to be my Iron Girdle?
That's the only time. Absolutely.
Oh boy, that's real friendship right there, buddy. Oh man. All right, so listen, we are deep diving Astro Bot. We just brought this up in our latest Twig episode that we were playing this game. It is time. You and I have both beaten it, like I mentioned. I literally finished it this morning.
I know.
I was up at like 5 a.m., dude, and I was like, well, I'm up. I might as well finish up Astro Bot. And then sure enough, it took me about 2 hours, and I beat it right before I headed off to work. So we are going to get into all things Astro Bot. This is the disclaimer that says, listen, we're going to cover a lot of aspects of this game. We are going to cover some of the abilities in the game, a few of the little secret things that you might come across. This game doesn't have any huge spoilers. It's not like there's some huge twist or something like that. But if you want to go into this game completely blind, then you might want to come back to this episode later on. If you're the kind of person that's like, look, I just want to know what you guys think and I'm going to pick it up and have fun with it, hearing about an ability that you get in the game may not bother you, but we always like to respect people's thoughts on that kind of stuff. So yes, we will talk about aspects of the game, but we're going to try not to spoil or anything too crazy, but I don't really think there are any major spoilers in this.
I mean the basis of it is pretty simple. Rescue bots. That's about it. So
yeah. All right. So top of the show, this is a great time to remind people that if you are a fan of the podcast, if you like what you hear, if this is your first time listening, number one, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. But number two, make sure you follow the show. In your podcast app, there is a follow button, a plus button, a subscribe button, something like that. Make sure you click that. That way you will get notified and get all of our new episodes direct to your ear holes every time we release one, which is every Monday and Thursday. So 2 times a week, you guys get to enjoy video game chat with me and Ryan. And on that same podcast app, there is very likely a way to review the show. You can rate us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. If you're on Apple, you can leave us a written review, which we absolutely love to see.
Those are the best.
one of the reasons we love doing this show is to just hear people say, man, you guys make my commute to work easier, or doing chores, that kind of thing. And there's a good chance that if you leave us a review, we're going to read it on the show, like this one that comes in from Loud Darbs all the way from Great Britain. And it's titled, I'm in Love.
Oh,
yeah. And it says, guys, I absolutely love you all and the show. I'm 37, so it's nice to also hear from gamers of a similar age who I can virtually reminisce with when you talk about the good old days. Found the show a few months ago and have binged my way through the episodes and have now subscribed to listen to the extras. I think my husband is starting to worry, but no, really, it is great. I've discovered games through you that I'd never heard of, which I now want to play, or games I was maybe on the fence about, but now I'm more willing to give them a go. Keep it up, and I can't wait for more. Oh, and one final thing. Out of all of you, my gaming likes tend to fall more in line with Paul's tastes, so I've got to say it, Stardew and RimWorld are total goats. Well,
whose takes?
Well,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know, man. That guy must like weird games.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think he likes a lot of weird games. I also want to say I don't appreciate being included in 36, 37, that age range. I still
you're in that age range.
I identify as like a 22-year-old.
Oh, wow. Really? You're that old?
Listen.
Mentally, I'm like 17, dude. I don't think I've ever aged a day over 17.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, we're just going to leave it there. So, all right, Ryan, Astro Bot.
Yes.
I joked at the beginning of the show that this game was revealed at the PlayStation State of Play at the end of May. I know when we first saw it, we all went, whoa, what is this? Yep. You famously love Astro's Playground, which is the demo-ish type thing that came with PS5?
Yeah, I believe it's Playroom, but it was kind of like the introduction to the PlayStation, kind of what they gave with the system, and it was something that me and my son just were obsessed with. So we absolutely loved it. And when we figured out that this game was coming out, we were beyond excited. And we're going to cover all that today.
Yeah, I remember seeing this game and instantly going, PlayStation exclusive? Like, what? Like, come on, man. But
Another
then
one.
I knew I'd be able to borrow, your PlayStation for this. I do know that when we saw it, we were instantly impressed by Astro Bot. It was one of those trailers that wasn't ho-hum for us. It was not this is interesting looking. I mean, I think we were just kind of all in right from the get-go. And so knowing that, and now that we've played it, let's go back in time a little bit to when we kind of first saw those trailers. Like, what were you hoping for? Like, what did you hope that Astro Bot was going to be before we actually got a chance to get our hands on it?
I was hoping that it was going to be everything Astro's Playroom was and more. It was one of those things where, okay, here's a little snippet. You get you go around to Costco and there's always samples everywhere and there's a million different things you can try and taste. And you get that one, you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty good,
Where's that at? Which freezer is this in?
Yeah. Where do I go? Where can I go and get more of this, please? What? Oh, on sale. Thank you very much. So it was one of those that I was beyond excited. I wanted more because I knew that I liked what was already there, and they had a good base for it, and it was exciting to see what a full game would be. And I can tell you that even if I hadn't played, what the trailer and what it looked like and the hype behind it would have easily got me excited enough to play as well.
Yeah, I think for me, when I saw this, it instantly gave me this weird nostalgia kick.
Oh, yeah.
Where I kind of went, this is a 3D platformer that somebody just developed in 2024 that looks incredible. It looks like it's taking advantage of the full power of the PS5. We'll get into graphics and some of that stuff a little bit later, but I just remember being really blown away by the presentation of this game. But the fact that somebody made a game that was a 3D platformer like the games of old, like the Super Mario 64, or Banjo-Kazooie and some of these like nostalgic games that you and I grew up with that really have kind of died off over the years. I mean, that's not to say that they don't exist, but 3D platformers for a while were all the rage, and then they kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. And then all of a sudden, here comes Astro Bot just bursting into the 3D platformer world, if that world even exists anymore, and just kind of going like, well, I want to play this, man. This is like, it's like a piece of my childhood mixed with the future.
That's what it's meant to be, and it's meant to get you to buy a dang PlayStation, bud.
Well, they failed on that. I just borrowed yours, but it did work in getting me very hyped up for this game. So, all right, listen, let's get into the game itself. Like we like to do, we always pull a description of the game just straight from the developer, so people understand what this game is marketed as and what they kind of claim it to be. So, Ryan, why don't you start us off with the official game description?
Absolutely. So the description reads: the PS5 mothership has been wrecked, leaving Astro and the bot crew scattered all over the galaxies. Time to ride your trusty dual speeder across more than 50 planets full of fun, danger, and surprises on your journey to make the most of Astro's new powers and reunite with many iconic heroes from the PlayStation universe.
Sold! I'm in!
Yep. 100%. Yep. And I'll tell you, they do bring a lot of heroes from the PlayStation universe.
Dude, I felt like an idiot because I don't know who like 80% of these characters were. So you rescue your little bot friends across the galaxy. That's kind of the main point of this game. You go through all these levels, you rescue your bot friends, and a lot of the bots are definite nods to PlayStation characters and famous characters from various PlayStation games and stuff like that. They don't come out and outright call him that character. I don't know why, but they don't. So they give him a weird name like, the Explorer, and then it's Nathan Drake or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, a lot of these, I was just like, dude, I don't know who you are, but welcome to the party, man. I found you. Let's go.
Dude, it's funny too, because some of them are characters that I totally forgot, are PlayStation exclusive characters, and you see them, you're like, wait, that looks familiar. I know. Oh, that's from that one game, and it just... Dude, it's just nostalgia hit after nostalgia hit, man. It's got all that dopamine, it triggers really, for sure.
It really does, man. Yeah, I was very happy with the throwbacks, the nods, the cameos, the Easter eggs, and all that kind of stuff that they put in this game. Okay, so Ryan, Astro Bot just released. You picked it up on release day.
Yes.
If I remember right, the actual release of this was September 6th, if I have my date right on that, because it came out right before Space Marine is what it was. It releases, you rub it in that you picked it up and you were playing it. You sent me a screenshot of the title screen. I instantly hated you for a little bit. But it was funny because in our minds, we were getting ready for Space Marine 2. And then all of a sudden, you're playing Astro Bot, and I declared publicly on air that I was more hyped for Astro Bot to play that game than it was for Space Marine 2, which kind of goes against everything that I am as a gamer, because everybody that has listened to the show for a while knows that I love chaos, I love shooters, I love everything that Space Marine 2 looks like it's going to be. But then all of a sudden, here we are, just completely sucked into Astro Bot. And we pivoted, just instantly to, okay, well, we're playing this game and we're covering it. So what do you think it was about Astro Bot compared to Space Marine that made us pivot so hard and so fast?
Dude, I think everybody knows the value of a good pivot.
Yes. Oh, here we go. Pivot. 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 Pivot.
And I think this... Pivot! I think this was a quality pivot, because I secretly felt the same, dude. I'm looking at this, and I know that I had the advantage of I had true love and admiration for Astro's Playroom, so I already was in kind of the mold and in that world, and so I was just beyond excited. It was something that I could play, something I could play with my son, and I was genuinely just looking forward to what they could create as a full game. Like, hey, let's put some time behind this. It's not just a release with the system. This is an actual game. People have to buy it. People are going to pay their money for it, and they're going to have expectations. So let's deliver, and to see what they could do with those expectations. I was just so excited for that. And, yeah, man, it was one of those that I as amazing as Space Marine, is and looked, I was definitely ready for a good platformer like Astro Bot.
I think for me, it was the type of game that this was. We have played some heavy games lately.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy Rain, no pun intended. Black Myth Wukong. So we've had these kind of like serious games that we have kind of played lately. And the mood of Astro Bot, for me, just hit at the right time. I wanted this cheerful, kind of happy, very fun action-based platformer type game to dive into before going straight into Space Marine 2. And I think as gamers, we all kind of feel that. There's a lot of times where people are like, I'm just tired of all the games I play. And it's like, well, have you tried anything different?
Yeah.
Play a different genre, play a different style of game that you wouldn't normally play, that kind of thing. So I think for me, it was very much just, I wanted that kind of different experience compared to a lot of the other games that I have been playing and that we have covered on the show. It just seemed to hit the right spot in the right time for me. So I think that's where my hype level and this kind of sudden pivot going to Astro Bot over Space Marine 2 kind of came into play.
Yeah, timing's everything, brother.
It does. And to be fair, I am super excited. Right after this recording, I am actually opening up Space Marine 2 for the first time. So
get ready.
We're
Buckle
diving
up.
into that.
Buckle
I'm pretty
up,
pumped
dude.
for that one as well. I know. So we will be covering Space Marine 2 for people that are curious. That episode will come out in a couple weeks. But yeah, we're getting into that one for sure. All right, Ryan. So I remember you kind of rubbing it in that you were playing Astro Bot.
Me? No.
I know. And then I remember you being like, dude, this game is sick. And then just sending me a couple screenshots, and I could tell instantly that you were having fun with this game. But I always like to think about like those first impressions of a game, right? Sometimes first impressions can be everything. I know that there are games where we have jumped into them and the first impression sucks. And then it takes a while to get going. And then there's other games that start off really good. And it's like the developers just fell asleep and then the rest of the game is bad. So without spoiling anything about your overall thoughts of the game, give me your first impressions kind of just an hour or two in.
So I guess like we said, the story itself is kind of minimal. There's not a lot to it. You're traveling along in the galaxy. Some alien comes, smacks you around, scatters some bots all over the place. You got to go and you got to rescue all these bots. That's how you start. So now you're going through and you start to go through these different kind of worlds. And it was a continuation of the Playroom, but with more depth and more detail. And as it started to progress, you just kind of, it just kept checking the boxes. Yep, there's another one. Oh, that's cool. There's that. And I just know initially I played with a smile on my face. A bunch of like the times I kind of tried to recall just how I felt. I'm just like, yeah, I was just smiling. I'm cheesing the whole time I'm playing this dang game, So it was one of those where you just felt good. I know you were saying something, you wanted something different, something we've been playing heavy games. This was that initial impression where you're happy. It's a happy, fun game right off the bat.
I remember after I got your PlayStation and I was able to jump in on the first day, you said, I need you to let me know what you think after you play for an hour or two.
Yeah.
And I wrote it in our Discord server and I said, dude, this game is pure joy.
Yep.
And I'm sticking by that as far as my opening impression goes. This might be one of the happiest, like joyful games that I think I've ever played or that I have played in a very, very long time. My wife likes these kind of games, so she sat with me and was kind of watching me play it. And she was just, all she kept saying is, oh, that's so cute.
Oh,
look
awesome.
at that. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. And like, she just kept making these kind of like exclamations about stuff. But then I'm doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, look how cute he is. And if you stop and like don't move for a while. He takes a nap wherever he's at, and he's got these cute little voice and, you know, all this stuff. And so my initial impression was literally, not to sound cheesy, but just joy.
Yeah.
You know, I just remember thinking like, dude, this is fun, man. This is exactly like what I was hoping for with a 3D platformer. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a PlayStation owner. I've got nothing against PlayStation. It just, you know, I just didn't wind up getting one right now. And so, you know, nothing in the whole like weird console war thing that some people love getting into, but I'm just not super invested in the PlayStation itself and the, you know, the whole spaceship is a PlayStation. So there's definitely some like homerism going on with this game or something like that, but it all just works, man. And the way they present it in such a good way that I just remember grinning and smiling and being like, I'm a happy guy right now. So, all right. So there's our initial impressions. Listen, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this game right after this break.
For real foodies, there's nothing better than trying that new restaurant.
I'll have the special, please.
Except returning to your tried and true fave.
Hey, the usual for you?
Especially when you can access over $400 back in dining value annually and 4 times points on restaurants when you use your Amex Gold card. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Cap applies. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate is the world's biggest coffee lover because we love all the ways you enjoy. Wait. Coffee Mate can't love coffee more than me. I'm a foodie. I went to Kyoto just for a nitro matcha latte. What? Oh, I have to finish the ad. Coffee Mate, for the love of coffee.
All right, we are back breaking down Astro Bot. Ryan, let's get into the actual game itself. I mean, we've talked about our hype level. We've talked about our initial impressions. You know, I think we've kind of teased this game enough for people. We always like to get into some of just the heart of a game so that people can kind of say, hey, you know what, this sounds like it's for me. Or, you know, if you're like me and you don't own a PS5, but you want to know more about Astro Bot, we're going to kind of break it all down for you, you know, so you can kind of have a good idea of what this game is about, how it plays, what makes it special, and that kind of stuff. So I want to start with something that Paul, our former host Paul, used to tease me about, and you used to tease me about a little bit too, Ryan. And that's because I made a comment one time on a game for the first Hellblade, where I said, this game has the best audio I've ever heard in my life for a video game. And I remember Paul laughing, and then he told you about it and you laughed. But other than you saying how great this game was initially, you told me, you said, Josh, you're going to lose your mind over the audio in this game. It's the best audio I've ever heard. And so I want to talk about that with people because I think I agree with you that this game has some of the best audio I have ever heard in a video game. And what the heck does that mean, right?
Dude.
Like when somebody says good audio, like, what? Huh? What does that mean?
It means like, because I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. That's how good the audio is. Just thinking.
It really is.
You genuinely, I was so excited for Josh to play this game just so he could hear it. And I can't stress to you guys how much I actually kept saying, dude, just wait. Wait for the audio. Wait for the pills. I kept telling him, Josh, the pills. Yes. Wait for the pills. Wait for the metal. Like, it's something that this is a game to where when you hear stuff, you not only hear it, but you feel it. You feel that sound. And that's something we'll dive into deep with this. But like the combination of the audio and the audio through the controller and the feedback you get within the controller, it's par none. Like there's nothing I've ever experienced that's like this game, which is so wild on a kind of just standard 3D platformer that's like system based to just exclusive PlayStation, you know, and to have something of that quality, like you can tell, like why isn't every game this way? You know, why doesn't every game make me feel this way from an audio aspect?
It is one of those things that is very hard to kind of quantify to people.
Dude,
Number one, I completely forgot that the DualSense controller has a speaker built into it. So when I started playing this game, I have a very good sound system in my living room, right? I mean, I've spent up a lot of money on this thing. I'm pretty proud of it. And so I had this game cranked up, to full room filling, booming sound effects. And then here I am holding this controller and I'm looking down and I'm hearing the little ting, 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 ting.
You're like,
of
what?
my robot's feet going across metal while this funny sounding song and all these sound effects are happening in my living room. But the sound coming out of the controller was his feet like running across a little metal platform.
Yeah.
And it just caught me off guard. I remember looking down and being like, dude, that is freaking cool, man. And then I'd run over like off the little metal platform onto the dirt. And then it would be like dirt feet sound effects.
Yeah.
Right now. And I know everybody's like, well, dude, that's every video game, right? But it's different when it's coming from a secondary source. And it's different when it is every single thing in this game, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's the kicker. It's not just footsteps. It is the sound of water trickling. It is wind blowing. It is, you mentioned pills. Like this game does this really neat thing. And we'll get into that in the graphics part of this discussion where it will dump like 1,000 gems, like all over the ground. And then you just run through this pile of gems, but it's like, it sounds like you're running through gems.
Yeah.
And I've never ran through gems in my life, right?
But like if that's how it was going to sound, it would be exactly like that.
Yes.
Even the and I know you can attest to this, when it rains, your Astro Bot pops open an umbrella and you just get this such a real like pitter patter of water on plastic of like an umbrella. That's just so it's so hard to describe, man. It's crazy. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, and anyone that's played the game knows what we're talking about. But it's just, you have to experience it to really genuinely understand the difference between not only the audio coming from your speakers, whatever sound system you're running, but just what they can do with that little controller is just wild.
It really is impressive to me. I forgot that was a feature of the DualSense, and the way that this game uses the speaker in the DualSense to heighten the audio in this game is absolutely phenomenal. It is spectacular. It amplifies the immersion of this game in levels that are very, very hard to describe to somebody like over a podcast. And it's not just the fact that it's mixed in, it's that it's coming from a secondary source, right? So your ears just pick these things out in like different ways, and the game does a phenomenal job with it. I'm with you. I mean, I think Hellblade and Astro Bot, as crazy different as those two games are at the top of my list as far as like the best audio I've ever heard in a game, man. The soundtrack for this game is bonkers. It's very silly, but it's very kind of upbeat and funny. It changes kind of from level to level and stuff like that too. Just absolutely top-notch sound and audio design. I know we'll talk a little bit later about there's some people that think this might be a Game of the Year contender. If it doesn't win Game of the Year, it's gonna win Best Sound Design. Our audio design. I forget what the exact category they call it now. But man, what an impressive way to present your game to people for sure.
Yes.
So, okay. So, I know there's people probably laughing like, wow, you guys really just gussed over the audio, but trust us, it matters. And it really does stand out in this game. The other thing that stands out in this game are the graphics. Now, when we talked about at the top of the show, hey, this trailer caught us by surprise. We were instantly hyped for it. Why? Because this game looks beautiful. It is colorful. It is polished. It has a lot of variety to the graphics in the game, which I think is important for a game like this. I remember when we talked about our excitement for playing, and when we saw the trailer, I believe the word we used was fluid. As far as like how the animations in this gameplay looks. I'm going to stand by that. I think that this game is insanely fluid in how it is presented from a graphical standpoint. I think it takes full advantage of the PS5 and uses it in ways that I don't think a lot of other people have to be honest. Everybody talks about, frame rates and performance mode and that kind of stuff. And, is this game going to push 60 frames a second and all that? Dude, ultra realism, I like ultra realism when it comes to graphics, but that does not a game make. Yeah. And Astro Bot is a very good example of, here is a colorful, I don't want to call it cartoony, because cartoony almost nowadays means like cell shaded or a certain art style. And it's not that, but this game to me is one of the most graphically pleasing games that I think I've played in a long time as well. And I think that ties into what we were just talking about with the audio and how this game is presented graphically. What did you think? I mean, I think it's a beautiful game. I love the different aspects that they use, but what do you think about the graphics on this?
It's not lazy animation. Like, you can tell when things are, okay, we're just going to use this system and that's going to be the graphics of the game. This, they had their style and they just maximized it like tenfold. They said, this is what we're going to make it look like, and we're going to do the absolute best we can. And they did that. Like I mean, I went back to the crash site, where your PlayStation is, and you can see all your bots, and you can do a bunch of exploring throughout there. I went to this back area, and I'm just wandering around, and I went into the snow, and the crunching through the snow, and you see the snow separate. I just ran around and spun fists and just hit all the snow in this little area just to clear it out because of how good it looked. Like, that's how wild it is like, it's not ultra real. That's not what it's meant to be. And that's okay. And this works for what it is. It works so well. They did such an amazing job. And you can tell that these people are these designers and the developers and stuff. They took everything they could to absolutely peak out the PlayStation for these graphics, like the way they had it set up and designed. It was unbelievable. I loved it, and I know I've been gushing over everything so far.
It's true,
and it's probably going to keep going. But everything looked good. Like, what can you say bad about it? With the graphics.
I really can't. And I am a graphics snob. I don't hide that. I love good graphics in a video game, and this game has it in spades. Yeah. Dude, every single level is just alive, and it's alive with stuff that is neat to look at. I don't remember exactly what level it was, but there's a little ledge that you can drop down on. I'm looking for a robot friend to rescue. I drop down on this ledge, and it's a teeny portion of an entire level, but I drop down on this ledge and I see these tunnels with ants crawling through the tunnels. And it was just so cool to be like, I can't believe they put that here where nobody is ever going to see this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just this one little ledge that I just happened to fall down on. And here's these little ants just going about their work inside the ground. Every level is filled with that. We talked about, they dump piles of gems and little candy pellets and pills and stuff like that on you all the time. Those are so fun. It's like the snow where you just run through them, dude. Yeah. I felt like a kid running through a leaf pile in the fall.
Yes, that's such a good comparison. I know that
sounds ridiculous, but it's like that's what it was. And I would just sit there and run circles,
dude. Yeah, even on the Astro's Playroom, I would go in and there used to be all the little bots that were back then, and they'd circle around you, and you would just run through them and bump into them, and you could hit them, and they'd get mad at you. It's just there's so many parts of it that are so interactive. That it just, like we were saying before, you just smile. Like, you keep doing all these things, and you just keep getting that hit where you're just happy. Every part of it makes you happy, which is just, there's not a lot of games that do that.
It's very true. I will say, too, that there are some really cool uses of perspective in this game.
Yes.
Where, like, for boss fights, for instance, the bosses look huge. This is not a 2D, side-scrolling platformer. It is a fully 3D platformer, and they do some really neat things with the camera in this game as well to kind of create a sense of scale, perspective, move. Like, it'll swing around, behind you while you're sliding down a ledge or something as well. So they absolutely nailed the presentation on this game. All right. I mean, a game ain't a game if it's not fun, right? And what makes a game fun? Gameplay. Right. I mean, this is one of those things where you can have the fanciest graphics and the fanciest sounds in the world, but if your game sucks, nobody's going to want to play it for very long. All right. So we're going to get into the gameplay part of Astro Bot. I don't want to get too crazy detailed in this because sometimes you just have to see it to understand it and you have to play it to feel it kind of thing. But what are you doing in this game, Ryan? Like, what's a level look like? You know, you selected a level to play, you fly down to that level. What the heck are you doing in Astro Bot?
Well, I mean, usually like right off the get, you know, you're flying in on a PlayStation controller that's like a rocket ship kind of F-16 looking ship that you're coming into. So right off the bat, you're steering this and it's just every part of it, you know, from the very beginning is just feels good to play. So you get into a level and you got to start working through, and right away there's going to be enemies throughout. There's slime guys that will shoot slime at you. There's other characters that will electrocute you when you get too close. There's characters that will come near you and then they just shoot spikes out of their sides, and if you get too close you'll pop and you know you got to restart. So they have such a good variety of characters throughout that you have to battle, and then as you progress through the levels, you know, you're just there's also so much, and you talked about it with the ants, there's so much depth to it, to where you're going up, you're going down, you're going in areas, you're coming out of them, you're going around them. There's no land or level is just kind of flat straight through, just a straight path. Everything has a bunch of different ways to go around it. There's there's so much, you know, and I'll keep saying a depth to this game that it's hard to explain. We keep saying, you know, you're going to just have to play it. And I think that's what it is. You have to play this game.
Yeah, I will say that this game does follow the kind of tried and true formula for a 3D platformer where your goal in every level is to find your stranded robot friends.
Yeah.
And usually, if I remember right, it's 7 available guys in every level. The base levels. There are some secret levels and there's some like, I don't want to call them boss levels, but some optional, like really hard levels.
Crazy levels.
Like like where you get like one guy, but the easier just main levels are there's 7 lost robots. You progress through the level. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of enemies. There's a lot of platforming and elevators and bounce pads and, you know, everything that you could imagine being in a 3D platformer. And as you make your way through the level, you will hear, and again, this goes back to the audio design in this game, somebody crying for help. You know, and it's like, oh, wait. And then you start looking around and there's a guy that's hanging up on a tree. And you're like, well, how do I get up there? You know, and then you start looking around and you see, oh, okay, well, if I run over here and then I run up this path, I can hop on this elevator. It'll take me over here. I'll jump on this jump pad and then I'll, you know, try to land on that guy in the tree and then you rescue him kind of thing. So that is the meat and potatoes of every level in this game is you make your way through, rescue your robot friends, make it to the end of the level, and then you escape with them on your PlayStation controller, and then they all get to go back to your home planet. Now, that makes it seem very simple, and this game is anything but simple.
Yeah.
Because almost every level in this game has some sort of twist or ability that you get when you start the level, or mini boss fight at the end of the level that surprises you and catches you off guard, to some new mechanic that you've never seen before, to all of a sudden you're underwater and you're swimming around in a water level. And it's like, what the heck, dude? Like, where did this come from? And this is where Astro Bot to me is absolutely masterful in its gameplay design, is it never throws the same thing at you for very long.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that when you get an ability, so for instance, like I think very, very early on in the game, you get these frog gloves, and they showed this off in the trailer, so this is not a spoiler, but these frog gloves allow you to punch out. It's like punching gloves on little springs, and you shoot them out and you can punch things really fast. You can use them to grab onto, like almost slingshot yourself in certain areas.
Sticky pads and stuff you can grab.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you're playing this level, you're rescuing your friends, and all of a sudden you find this treasure chest and it's got frog gloves in it. Well, that completely changes how you approach the rest of this level. And you realize, oh, I can grab onto things and I can pull it really hard. I can punch things. And you know, so now that you have this ability, the game is throwing things at you so that you have to use that ability. And to me, this was what really made Astro Bot, in my opinion, is you get so many different abilities. I mean, you can become a balloon where you can fly really high and float around. You get frog gloves. You get monkey hands where you can chuck rocks and smash the ground and stuff like that. You get rockets that you strap onto your back. You get a suit of armor, to where your guy is like almost invulnerable at that point. There are so many cool features, and I don't want to spoil them for everybody. But I do want to talk about a couple of them because they really, really stood out to me in those like wow moments. The mouse suit. Dude, do you remember? Okay, so you get this little suit where you become a mouse. But the coolest thing about the mouse is with the press of a button, you shrink down. Like Ant-Man. I mean, out of like Marvel, like you just push the button and boom, your dude instantly shrinks down to a teeny, teeny size. The world around you just grows like crazy.
Talk about perspective.
It's instantaneous though, dude. It is the craziest thing. I was just like, I could not believe that they pulled it off the way that they pulled it off, where you could transform so quickly and the world around you would respond so fast that it was mind-blowing to me. And now you're running through these tiny little tunnels to get to these areas, but then it's like, oh, here's a monster. So you just press the trigger, boom, you're full size again. You crush that monster, and then you just shrink down instantly again. Like that level blew my mind. Is there another ability or another level that really caught you off guard or like just made you kind of go, wow?
That one was a big one for me, for sure. Cause it was just, when we say like you just shrink down and it's you go into like a little mini room in one point, and you're walking along a wire, and then you can go under the bed and there's coins under the bed, and you come back out and you got to crawl along a bookcase and then go through a tunnel, and then you get up and then you've got to fight a big monster and you got to blow back up in size. So it's so cool to see how you do it. And this kind of goes back to the fluidity we're talking about.
Say, yes. Yeah, it's so hard to describe to people.
So instant. And this is what I found with all of this game, and then even the Playroom, is that everything just it's so crisp. Like it just clicks. Like everything that you do happens, it's responsive, it's instant. There's not any delay or drag or weirdness that kind of takes you out of the zone. You are in this world, and that's part of what the audio does to you. You are so immersed into what you're doing. That's what you're focused on. Okay, I'm a small mouse now. I'm going through this room and I'm going to this other place. Like, there's another part that I thought was so cool. It's not as impactful as that, but you hop on to a fake controller in game, and you shoot throwing stars. And you look in front of you, and there's like 5 bamboo stalks, and you got a character up to the side that's a bot, and you're like, how am I going to rescue that guy? And then you shoot your throwing star, and it slices the bamboo shoot down, and you're like, oh, okay. You cut yourself a path to climb up to get him, and you rescue him. You're like, whoa, that was really, really cool. And then a little later in the map, you get it again, and then you use it to make like a platform to climb up on these like spinning kind of wheels and use them as steps. So there's so many aspects of the game that do things like that just keep the immersion. It's unreal, man. It's so hard to describe.
It is one of those things. We'll move on here in just a second too, but I really want to kind of drive this point home that we are so accustomed to games and perspectives and camera angles and stuff like that. But when we say at the press of a button, your character shrinks down to the size of a tiny mouse, and then at the press of a button, he grows back into his normal size, and the world instantly changes perspective. Like, to do that on the fly while you're running and jumping, and to have it respond the way that it does is not something that we witness in gaming very often.
Yeah.
And that goes back to show you the level of development and the level of polish that this game has is honestly second to none. Yeah. Like, it's a very hard thing to describe to somebody, but we are lifelong gamers. And I mean, this one little aspect of this mouse level where I got this mouse suit and I could shrink and grow was mind blowing to me, because it's like, dude, nobody has done it like they have done it. I mean, yes, there's games where you grow and shrink, but it's like you kind of have to stop and then it like does this animation where it's like whoop, 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 and now you're big.
Yeah.
You know, it's not this instantaneous thing. Another one that I'll touch on very, very briefly is the time stop ability that you get.
Oh, yes.
Dude, that was so cool to me. You basically freeze the level almost. Like time is still going, but it's in like super slow motion. And the uses of that ability.
In the spooky town?
And yes,
Dude,
in the levels and the way that you have to use it to like guys will be slinging like attacks at you until you realize if I stop time, I can now jump on their attacks to use as a stairway to get to the guy that's attacking me. And now I can attack him, or to slow down water so that you can jump across these platforms now, you know, and things like that. It's just masterful. I don't want to spoil everything for people because some of the discovery and some of the abilities that you get in this game are kind of what make it. But dude, I loved the fact that they gave you these different abilities. They designed the level around it. It made every level unique and fun to me in that regard. So I absolutely love it. All right, listen, we're going to get into some of the level design and kind of a little bit more into that aspect and some of the difficulty in this game because it's very up and down in my opinion, but we're going to take a short break and then we'll come back and talk about that.
What's up?
Before you board your flight, where'd we get that incredible gnocchi?
Hold up. Did you just call gnocchi gnocchi?
No. You're at the airport. No way you can hear me.
Actually, with my new Galaxy Buds 3 Pro from Samsung, I can hear everything.
Now boarding.
Gotta go. I'll bring you back some gnocchi.
Tune into what matters using adaptive active noise cancellation with Galaxy AI. Get Buds 3 Pro now at Samsung.com. Galaxy AI features require compatible Samsung Galaxy phone and initial setup via Samsung Wear app.
So what's it like to buy your first cryptocurrency on Kraken? Well, let's say I'm at a food truck I've never tried before. Am I gonna go all in on the loaded taco? No, sir. I'm keeping it simple, starting small. That's trading on Kraken. Pick from over 190 assets and start with the $10 in your pocket. Easy. Go to Kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
All right, we are back. Man, whew, I feel like I'm smiling, man. My face is getting tired from smiling talking about this game. Okay, so
we can go 2 hours, right? No?
I know, right? So this game is not very long. I would say it's probably 7 to 8 hours if I had to guess. I didn't look up the time to beat or anything like that, but I beat it in 3 days. You know, a couple hour sessions each day. It is not an overly long game. It doesn't overstay its welcome. But the basic format for this game is it is broken down into these 5 different worlds. Because you're out in space, they're nebulas. And they kind of relate to different creatures. You've got like the gorilla one, the octopus one, the snake one, and stuff like that. Inside each nebula are a handful of worlds that you can choose to go to. And you kind of just start on one, but then it opens up 2 after that. And then that one opens up 2. And in each of these nebulas, there are, I'll call them hidden areas. They're not really hidden because you just have to kind of look and you'll see a little comet that's kind of streaking through the level as you fly your ship around. If you go and touch that comet with your ship, lo and behold, you get a little mini stage to play. And one of the things in this game that I found was that I thought most of the levels were kind of easy. Right? Like as I'm playing, it's like, hey, cool, I got to find these guys. But, you know, the platforming's not super technical and hard. You die a couple times to a guy that's spitting slime at you or something like that. Maybe you fall off a ledge. But like overall, I don't think this is a very difficult game. But there's always those hard levels in platformers, right? And so as I am starting to explore a little bit more and I've got my feet under me, I find this, I don't even remember which nebula I'm on, but I found the secret area. It's out. Oh, it was a comet, right? Or an asteroid field. And so I smash my ship through it and all these little shapes sprinkle out. And I'm thinking, oh, this is just one of those cutesy little things that it lets you interact with. And then all of a sudden, like a stage appears. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. And it's called the Lost Triangle stage, right? And I'm like, oh, what's this? So I run through it. I do a little thing. And now 4 little triangles scatter across this nebula. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll go see what these are. Dude, this is where the game gets challenging, okay? I am a glutton for punishment. I love difficulty. I like playing hard platformers and stuff like that. for people that may have heard or are worried about difficulty spikes or the ease of playing this game, the game itself, not super difficult. I think it's the right amount of like challenge in that regard. Dude, these stupid shape levels, that's what I'm going to call them, because you get 4 different sets, right? You know, there's 4 of the triangles, 4 of the circles, 4 of the squares, and 4 of the X's, just to follow the PlayStation buttons. My wife had to come check on me because she just kept hearing me going like, no, I was right at the end. Like, or like, dang it, no, I can't believe he got me again. You know, so if you are a glutton for punishment like I am and you want challenge, these levels are where it is at. I think I legitimately yelled at one level. I attempted that level 40 times, dude, before I finally beat it. And the thing with these are, you die at the very end. There are no checkpoints. If you die, you start at the beginning of this level.
No.
And so it starts to become one of these, like, I just have everything memorized, like the timing and the area. And I personally love that because that's the challenge for me. And where in the beginning of one of these levels, I would die within the first 30 seconds. And I go, dude, that's so hard. By the end of it, I'm flying through the first 30 seconds. I'm a master.
Yeah.
You know, at that point. So I just wanted to put it out there for people that are like me that want some challenge and some difficulty. This game does offer it to you, but it offers it to you in that optional aspect.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play those. I know we were kind of playing through, and so I'm so excited to hear that because yeah, we beat it. We beat the final boss. We went through all the levels and got, you know, most of the characters, or rescued most of the bots. But to hear that, to get it to that aspect, and they will release. I know I had talked about how it lends itself to speed trials and running like that. They are going to do a DLC, I believe, that's going to come out free in so many months. I'm not sure when, but I did hear that that's going to offer that. But this seems like a good replacement until then. Because that's how I was on the Playroom, where I was doing time trials trying to run these levels. And you said it at the beginning, you're like dying right away or dying here, there. By the end, dude, you're like boom, 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 boom. You're like Neo. You just sense really everything and you know everything and you're flying through. So I'm super stoked to try that out. I'll have to take another break from Space Marine, I guess, for Astro Bot for a little bit, but
I'm going to make you play these levels because I want you to feel the pain that I felt, but I also really want to hear your thoughts on them as well. So,
oh man, that was easy.
What? Yeah, right. Dude, it's weird because some of them I actually would kind of almost blitz through after an attempt or two. And then, like I said, there were other ones where it was 30, 40 attempts, dude, before I freaking beat these stupid levels. They're just for the challenge. You get one guy at the end, like a little robot friend, as like a, you know, consolation prize, I guess. It's more just the saying I beat these levels that is the reward there. So, all right, Ryan, we've been gushing over Astro Bot for almost 50 minutes now. Is there anything in this game that you think doesn't work, or is you wished it had been better? Maybe it's a negative. Anything, you know, to kind of balance out all the excitement and gushing that we've been doing on Astro Bot?
Well, so I will say, and I know you said as far as like timeline on this game, you know, 6 to 9 hours or something like that. It's not a long game. There is a lot more you can do with it. Probably full playthrough time to where you're going to really rescue all the bots. You know, I think there's over 300. To beat the game, you probably need like 210 or something like that. My biggest complaint with this game is that there's not more. I want more, dude. Like I honestly don't know what I could say other than not having like time trial stuff where I could just do speed race levels and time trial levels type things. I genuinely think that this is one of the crisp and most designed audibly, gameplay wise, visually, like all of these things check every single box, and I just wish there was more of it. That's my biggest complaint is that you know, I want more.
Yeah, that's a good thing when the downfall or the negative part of a game is just that it's over.
Yeah, I know, right?
At that point. I will say for me, I definitely would love to play this game more. There's a lot more for me to do on it. If I had to put a negative on this game, and this is personal, just gaming trends for me, I am not a game completionist. I don't care about platinum trophies. I don't want to go back to this level to find the one little robot that I missed along my playthrough on that. So I would say for me, the replayability portion is probably not very high in my opinion.
I can see that.
I did have to actually go back to a couple worlds because I had missed most of the little robot buddies in there. And I didn't have enough of, you have to have 200 robots rescued to fight the main boss for the entire game. And I was at like 190. And so then I was kind of like, oh man, I got to go back to these levels and hunt around and try to find 10 more guys. And like for somebody like me, I don't like backtracking. I want new stuff. I want more levels that I've never seen before. I don't necessarily want to go through the same level that I've already played and then try to find the one guy that's hidden around a corner because I just didn't happen to go explore over in that area. Yeah. It's a very minor complaint, but I mean, again, it's, hey, what could this game do better? If this game ever gets fan-made content, like, Super Mario did where people can make levels or something. Oh my goodness, dude. Man. Or a DLC where you just give me 20 more levels, man. Like I will be the happiest dude imaginable in that regard, but it's not in my gaming DNA to want to go back and revisit levels that I've already played to try to find a guy. Or something like that.
They do.
So
I don't know if you saw. They do have when you're replaying through level. I don't think they have it in the first. I did see this,
and it's actually a genius thing.
The birdhouse you saw. Yes. Okay, yeah, it costs you like 200 coins or something like that,
which is nothing.
And then it'll chirp and kind of guide you to where the characters are, the bots that you missed, or something of interest in that level, which is nice when you're doing the replay through a run trying to get more characters. So that is one thing that I think they kind of helped with that, but it's totally fair what you said about kind of replayability. The fact that they
thought about that to help somebody like me that doesn't want to comb every corner and just say, hey, there's a guy in that direction, and it's like radar. It beeps as you get closer and closer to a guy. I thought that was masterful, and I really actually appreciated that because I was like, it's like they're seeing into my soul, man. Like,
thank you.
All right. So here's the other thing. This game, when it came out to phenomenal reviews. We are gamers at heart. We are not experts. We do look at game reviews just like every other gamer out there and say, hey, is this game getting a ton of hype? Is it getting slammed? I will say that's not everything. Some games get bad reviews and people love. Some games get great reviews and people don't like them. Every gamer is different in that regard. So review scores are more just like a pulse a lot of times for us. But when this game came out and the good reviews started pouring in, I mean, as of this recording, this game is sitting at a 94 on Metacritic, which is universal acclaim.
Unreal.
That is a phenomenally high score for Metacritic. That's out of 128 critic reviews as well. So it's not like there's like 10 reviews and they just happen to be good ones. The user score, which usually differs from the critic score for a lot of games, is a 9.4.
Yeah.
This is like, you're telling me the gamers and critics agreed on this game that it's that good, and there's over 2,300 user scores for this game as well, sitting at a 9.4. So what I want to do before we get to rating this on our leaderboard and getting our scores for the game is ask you, do you think that Astro Bot is a Game of the Year contender with the chance to possibly be the Game of the Year winner after playing it?
Dude, and I mean this with all seriousness, I don't see how it can't be. It is so far and away one of the best designed and developed games I've ever played, ever. That I don't see how it can't be up there. Obviously, there's really not much of a story, and I'm a huge story guy. I know, Paul, a former host, was a huge story guy as well. That can totally make a game, but this is just the audio, the gameplay, the development, the design, the graphics, everything about it is so top notch. You can tell they just did not cut any corners. It was a pure passion project from beginning to end, and they just did such a phenomenal job that they, beyond a shadow of a doubt, deserve all the credit they would get and they should get for this, and it better be up there.
I will say that I am absolutely with you on this one.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, dude. I will. We have not played Space Marine 2 yet. I have not anyway. I know you've played for a couple hours, but barring Space Marine 2 being one of the best games that I have played this year, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Astro Bot will actually win Game of the Year.
Dude, I'm with you.
I think it will win. Like, we have kind of been saying, 2024 started off really hot. It came out on fire. It kind of cooled down. There were some games that we were very excited about, like Dragon's Dogma 2, Black Myth Wukong. Nothing wrong with those games necessarily, but not the Game of the Year contenders that I think we were hoping them to be. Now, Black Myth Wukong, I think, might be in the conversation for Game of the Year as far as the nominee goes. Astro Bot, for me, is the lock for Game of the Year at this point. Like, unless something else comes out, I know that sounds crazy, but it is that much of a complete video game. The only downside to Astro Bot is that it is a PS exclusive. I don't know if that hurts it or not. I mean, God of War won Game of the Year when it came out and it was a PS exclusive. So, I mean, if you were going to say, well, why wouldn't it win? The only reason I can think of is that it is just exclusive to one particular console, and that's it. But
yeah,
dude,
I mean, I want to hear what do you have negative to say about this game? If you've played it and you didn't like it, or you have something bad to say, hit us up on our socials, come to our Discord, let us know, because I genuinely want to hear from anyone that doesn't like something about this game. I don't know what you could not like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know either. I mean, we kind of talked about the negative aspects. You know, it's one of the reasons we brought it up, and there's not many. So
yeah.
Okay, well, you heard it here. I'm calling it Game of the Year winner. Ryan's saying it's up there, maybe winner. I don't know if you're planting your flag yet, Ryan, but I think, like I said, barring something else coming out that wows us quite like this game, I am going to say I think it will win Game of the Year.
Ooh.
All right. Let's go to our leaderboard, Ryan, because, you know, we saw what it's ranked with Metacritic. We've seen the user reviews. People have heard us gush for an hour now over this game. We always rate games that we cover on the show on our leaderboard. You can check that out at videogamerspod.com. It's broken down into our ratings. We still have Paul's ratings on there as well. If you want to find a game to play, this is a fantastic way to just scroll the list. You can then go and listen to an episode, because if it's on the leaderboard, we have done an episode on it. All right, Ryan, where are you putting this on your leaderboard? I have a feeling I think I know where it's going to be, but I want to hear it. Make it official. Where are you putting this?
All right, so this is a game that I know, obviously, everybody knows we love this from listening to this. If you're listening this far into the episode, you know that we love this game. It's going to be really, really, really up there for us. For me, it was one that, like, the way they developed this and the way the worlds were, it felt as to where it was not a lot of platformers and a lot of other games. It's kind of like that world's just there. It's always going. There's always things happening. This game felt like it was waiting for you. Everything you did in this, it felt like you were the centerpiece. You were the one there. You were making everything move, and everything revolved around you. And so it was otherworldly, next level, one of the best games I've honestly ever played, let alone this year. So I'm putting this bad boy at a 9.7.
9.7.
9.7.
Ooh,
this is not only one of the best games of this year, one of the best games I've ever played. Audio, visual, gameplay, everything flawless.
A 9.7 on your leaderboard, Ryan, puts it at the third highest game on your leaderboard. Yeah. Second only to Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War 2018 at 9.8.
Yep.
I don't I don't blame you.
Yeah, dude.
I don't blame you one bit. Okay, so for me, I think this game is absolutely phenomenal, dude. I loved this game from the second I got to play it till the minute I put it down. Even the credit sequence in this game is well done. Like, I mean, why doesn't every game do that? You play the credits. Like, it's goofy. The credits are a level, you know, and it's like, oh, okay, that's really cool. I said it before, I'll say it again. This game is pure joy to play. That's the best way I can describe it, man. I mean, I don't know another way to say, you know, this game is good. It's fun to play. It's you know, it's pretty. It sounds good. I mean, it's a joy. If you want a game that is going to make you smile and is going to make you feel like a kid again, this game is it. I cannot think of another game in recent memory that has brought that feeling of discovery and joy and just happiness. You know, I mean, it's got this vibe to it that is just so refreshing and so good. I am going to put this in a category of games where I only have two other games in this category, and that is Rocket League, which for me is one of my all-time favorite games. It's probably my most played game, and a game that I think was one of the most fun games that we have played this year, which is Helldivers 2. I am putting this at a 9.5.
Dang.
The only reason I will say this, the only reason that I do not have this game ranked higher is a lack of a story. Now, listen, I'm one of the first people that go, but this game isn't supposed to have a story. And I get it. And that is not a failing because they nailed what they're trying to do. The only reason this game is not higher for me is because it does not have that memorable story that I will go to bed thinking about, that I will be wondering, well, why did this character do this? Or what happened if I did that kind of thing? You know? And I think that is the only piece that is missing. It is not a fault of the game because this game isn't intended to be that way. You know? So for me, 9.5, I mean, people that know me know Rocket League is one of my favorite games ever. And it's sitting in the exact same rating as Rocket League and Helldivers 2 to me. 9.5 is the highest game that we have rated in a very long time.
Yeah, dude.
That tells you everything you need to know about Astro Bot. If you have a PlayStation and you have not picked this game up, we cannot encourage you enough to spend the money to play this game.
Do it.
Yeah, it's a short game. I don't care. Honestly, it's worth every penny. It's got some replayability value. If you are a completionist and a platinum trophy hunter, this game will absolutely be up your alley. If you just want one of the best games to come out in a very long time, this is it as well. If you don't own a PS5, do like I did. Find a friend that has one and say, hey, dude, can I borrow your PS5 for like 4 or 5 days? I promise I'll give it back. But man, find a way to play this game.
I will say too, you're lucky that my son is your biggest fan.
Yeah,
because
next time I see Jackson, dude, I'm giving him a fist bump.
He did not know what to do with himself the next morning. Like after we've been playing, we were grinding out Astro Bot for like 4 straight days, and then all of a sudden the PlayStation's gone. And in the morning before school, you know, he gets up early like me, and he's like wandering around. He doesn't know what to do, and I was like, he's like, Josh is gonna play, right? And I was like, yeah, he's playing it right now. And he's like, all right, cool, you know. And so he was excited you were gonna check it out. He's like, it's a good game, Dad. And I'm like, I know, buddy, and I know, but yeah, it was I can't stress it enough. Get this game because it's not only a game, it's an experience. Like
it really is.
You genuinely have to like to understand what we've talked about and gushed about for a whole, you know, hour here. You have to experience it yourself. It is a genuine, like kind of once in a generation type experience.
Yeah. It really is. Yep. So, also tell Jackson I said thanks, and I want to see him beat those lost shape levels.
Oh,
That's
we're gonna
the test of how good he is.
We're gonna get on it for sure. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. Please remember, if you enjoyed this episode and you want more like it, make sure you follow or subscribe to us in your podcast app. Leave us a 5-star review. If you want to go further and you want to help support the show, you can head over to multiplayersquad.com. You can help support us for as little as $5 a month. It really does go a long way in helping us keep things going. You'll get a shout out on an episode. You get our heartfelt thanks, and you also get some cool perks like early access, ad-free episodes, cool Discord perks, and things like that as well. Speaking of Discord, make sure you join our gaming community. It is
Come say hi.
It is the best group of gamers I think I've ever met in my life. Like, there is no toxicity. There is no judgment. There's no console warring. People are looking for group a lot of times for games and stuff like that. It is family friendly. So your kids are welcome as well. We keep it family friendly there as well. The link is in the episode description there. Follow us on socials at Video Gamers Pod. We do a lot of game alerts, game reviews, scores, just gaming news and stuff on our socials as well. Our next game that we're diving into, like we said, is Space Marine 2. I'm pumped to dive into that one. We'll have that episode in a few weeks for you. And so make sure you come back for that one. And then on Thursday, we will have another This Week in Gaming coming up. So until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.